this Mexican Independence Day.
So we start the movie with Will Randall hitting a wolf with his car and destroying his windshield, and then running away after getting bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a chunk of wool. It wasn't a wolf.
It looks horrible.
It does
It
look
looks
horrible.
terrible. I mean, there's even before he was about to hit it, you see a clip like snip of it, and then you could literally see a fucking fake wolf just on the road standing there like that.
Mm-hmm.
It was just so funny.
It
to
is
watch.
also 1994, but like it's just not very good looking.
No.
It's,
I mean, I'd say, like, the special effects in Captain America, like, for whatever those, like, weird rat creatures were a lot better.
At times, it does remind me a bit of Army of Darkness. Yeah,
Army of Darkness.
a little bit of like that.
I do have to say, however, after he gets back in his car, after he gets bit and everything, and they show all the wolves out there, I actually did like that scene, thinking, okay, these are all werewolves. Like, it automatically hit me, like, this is, he's not the only one.
Yeah.
This is something
Well,
that's out there.
Even like it's never explained like how, and this is jumping really far ahead, but it's never explained how like Michelle Pfeiffer just like is a wolf at the end. But like
Well,
going throughout the movie, she
it's because when he went to the doctor of Wolf,
Oh, because she had it
Oh,
in her?
Yeah.
So his passion...
she got the dog in him.
She got that dog in her.
No,
now.
she definitely got
She had
that
the
dog. We
spirit
saw
of
it
the
in the
dog or
hotel
whatever.
at
Yeah.
the Mayflower.
yeah.
But like also she was like, don't you realize animals don't like your presence? Like how the fuck would she even know that?
Yeah.
You know.
Well,
Yeah, well,
I
kind
watched
of.
a video of how, like, there's probably a lot cut out of this movie. The theory is there's, like, a subplot that was cut out where, like, she's a wolf hunter or a werewolf hunter, and her brother was one, and that's what started her, because she talks about how her brother had schizophrenia. So I can
Also,
see
like,
why
the
they cut it
spider
out, because this
tattoo.
movie is very slow at 2 hours. Though.
yeah, we watched
no
it
doubt.
almost at double speed, and
I
it
know.
felt like normally paced.
It did. It was just bizarre. But, I mean, it's almost like this movie just had production issues the whole way through. Nobody liked the story. And they probably should have just canned it, but they went ahead because they have Jack Nicholson and Michelle Pfeiffer, who were actually hot properties back then.
Even James Spader.
And James
like, a
Spader was
big
actually
up-and-coming
pretty
actor.
up and coming back then. And these were actually a breakout movie for him because he was a teen actor in all those teeny bopper movies back then. Those coming of age movies. And this was like a big thing for him. They probably should have just canned this movie,
Yeah.
but I guess
Thank
at
God it
that
didn't
point they had a lot of
Catwoman.
money in
Yeah.
it, and they just cut it down and just pumped it out.
I read something that the guy who wrote the script of this movie, like they just changed the script like 500,000 times, and then he was like not even like involved towards the end of it.
I think it was the same guy who wrote the book, like wrote the script with
Oh,
somebody.
really?
Yeah.
It's funny.
I don't have much to say. I just for the quality of acting that was involved in it. I mean, and I know you can only do so much with the script you're handed, but this was a horrible story. I'm not a fan of werewolves that are wolves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I like the man.
Well, that's it. That was the whole premise of this story. He wasn't going to change back and forth. He was just going at that full moon.
Progressing to
He was-
become a dog.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
just basically going to be a wolf, and that was it.
It's kind of like if Fly was bad.
And I was trying to figure out at the end of the movie, was she going to have the amulet and try to be between both?
Pal, I got no fucking
You know,
idea what they
or
were
was
going
she
for.
finally met the man of her dreams, and she was going to turn into a wolf, and they were going to be a nice pack on Dad's property somewhere?
This is
like,
one
I
of
have
those
no
movies where if you have any questions about it, you're not going to get a fucking answer.
Probably not, and it'll probably be in and out of my head in no time. But
The only
still.
person who has an answer is probably Jack Nicholson,
Yeah.
and
And God knows what he's
yeah.
up to these days
I can
besides
tell you
golfing.
what he's up to these days. He's just sitting around, filling his fat fucking face with cheeseburgers.
Cash
Oh
and
boy.
checks.
Yep.
Yeah.
I actually like the cinematography in this movie. Although, like, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna be praising it that much,
Right.
Because, like, I don't know, just like in
There's
a bad
like,
movie.
actually good shots in this movie. Like I always think about like the scene in the elevator where it's James Spader and then Jack Nicholson comes up.
But that's to my point, where I think this movie had great production in it, except something happened and
They lost the story.
yeah, the story just went wild. Nobody could get on it, but they had so much money into it. They couldn't go back to rewrite or just wait until they had something coming. So they just slapped it together and came out with a shipwall that was just dragging along. That just dragged
$70
along.
million budget.
It,
Yeah.
which is huge.
It's just,
for the
but
fucking
it,
movie.
Yeah.
it could have probably doubled quickly, You know, you got Jack Nicholson on the hook.
Well, yeah, it
you have
made
Michelle
130
Pfeiffer on
million,
the hook.
so.
You have Christopher Plummer on the hook. I mean,
Yeah.
you got to get something going. And all of these people were probably extremely disappointed at the end of this because it probably could have been something good if the story worked.
Yeah.
Right.
Like somehow simultaneously, there's so much going on in this movie at any given time, but like nothing at the same time.
It's just
Yeah,
so
because
slow.
a lot of things, the brother killing himself, that went nowhere.
Yeah,
You
there's
see,
so many little
you,
things.
you
that
see
add
in
up
the
to nothing.
trailer, you know, the whole thing that wasn't in the movie.
Yeah.
You know,
Mexican Independence.
Mexican
Day.
Independence Day.
I
Where
feel
was
like
that
that
going?
was just like
They would just
him
put the
ad-libbing.
fucking camera on, and
And-
Jack was just going off.
And
that,
I thi- yeah,
that whole
except- but-
scene was not in the movie.
No, it wasn't.
Him
And I
at
think
the
we're all in
fucking kitchen.
agreement that trailer would have sold the movie to the audience back in 1994.
Yeah.
Pretty much the reason Jack and I watched it.
Yeah,
made hook.
because I mean, Jack had Jackisms all the way through it, and like Nikki said, every action scene that was in the movie was in that trailer.
2-minute trailer.
Also in every other werewolf movie before it. Too.
Probably,
There's
but
scenes
still,
from like
and
werewolves. of
people were
London.
excited. Holy shit, Jack is going to be
This
a
is gonna be
werewolf.
good.
He's
This is
just,
gonna be
you know,
good.
and this is after Batman, after he was the Joker,
Yeah.
and the people were like, holy shit, Jack is the Joker, and he just went off on that, and we thought the same thing was going to happen, but down the shitter.
I just realized it does have like two of the most well-known non-Batman ones.
Yeah.
So back to the cinematography, kind of. I do actually also like the jump scares in this movie. I'd say they work pretty well. Like
The
wolf
alarm clock
scaring
gets
him.
me every time in the
Yeah,
morning.
Alarm clock's fucking
Every time that alarm clock gets me.
Also, like Laura tripping over the dead guard.
Oh,
Was, like
yeah.
pretty
Yeah,
good.
that was pretty
Yeah.
I don't understand why the movie got an R rating.
I mean, they say like fuck a few times.
Yeah.
That was probably
That was
it. You know, I'm assuming I'm watching a horror movie
Yeah.
with about a werewolf. There would be a little more goriness about it.
But again, perhaps there was, and that's on the floor,
And
and
that
maybe they
could be
had the
too.
rating prior. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe they went for it.
It does seem though like they're really trying to just like suggest everything that happens in this movie.
Yeah.
Like you know, the killings are all suggested aside
Right.
from like the deer.
yeah,
The acting in this movie was fantastic. Fantastic for the story that was around it. But everybody acted pretty well in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, Jack
and that was
is
believable.
Jack.
I mean,
James
to the
is
point
nodding
where
his head no. I
you
wanna
don't
know
think
why.
so?
No.
I think that it was so real that Jack actually pissed on James Spader.
Okay, that I could kind of see. That was a good scene, but
I would not be shocked.
I'm not
I
sure.
would
if-
not be shocked that James, you're going to have to take one for the team. He's, you know, I don't care. Yeah. And then he just looks asparagus.
I just think I'm not sure if it's the acting or the script. I think it's more the script that pissed me off because the script, more than a few times in the movie, just I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Especially with
you even
Michelle
said just,
Pfeiffer
like,
when
the
she's talking
lines
to
in
him.
this movie are fucking bizarre.
Bizarre. I
You're
could
going to a
not-
better place. I don't like. I have no idea
still-
what
yeah,
that.
Like
What
Dreamland
that
or
is,
something?
where is
Like,
that?
what's
I
going on?
don't know where I'm going to.
Yeah. That could have been left over from another script. Who knows?
What the
Eyes
fuck was
rolling in the
happening?
back of his
Yeah.
head, just dying. He's
I
going
just-
somewhere better.
And she just met the man.
Yeah.
Honestly, she doesn't know this guy.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was the acting or the script or a little both, but I just what was happening.
Christopher Plummer played a great prick, billionaire, and
I guess
Like,
he
the
kind of
world
just
owes
fades
him
into
everything.
The movie to me.
Yeah.
for me, Christopher Plummer was the guy you got when you couldn't get Vincent Price. You know,
Yeah.
he kind of just filled that role of.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, there's so many character actors like that that are just like interchangeable. Where it's like,
Yeah, the
you can
detective in
do
this,
that.
I mean, he's a big star, or was for a while a big star.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of people, like we said earlier, that are in this movie that became bigger. Not because of this movie, but they became bigger
Yeah.
because they're good actors.
Back to what James was saying with like the weird lines.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the comedy in this movie was just like trying to think out of the box.
It's just like,
Like,
weird
Very dry
attempts
comedy.
at like highbrow comedy.
Yeah, but like stuff like, so why did I say it? Just
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
even
right.
like the line between Laura and Will where he like tries to analyze her and she's like wrong line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just weird.
It's
Yeah.
all like type of jokes where like you're supposed to be like, oh.
Yeah.
But even the whole
Found that
thing
bland.
when they at the cocktail party portion when they were at Billionaire's house,
After Jack goes to the bush.
and actually before that, when Jack is talking about the whole thing about art is dead and everything else,
Yeah.
and wives cutting off man's penis, is like, was that supposed to be funny or
Yeah, I don't know.
or,
Again,
or
like,
just shockingly stupid? But
50-50 chance they just
yeah,
turn the camera
I
on.
was just like, this is just stupid.
Yeah. I thought the Office is a jungle scene where he just like hears and sniffs everyone. It's just like funny.
So and that's the one thing that actually hit for me was the run-on joke with the guy drinking in the morning.
Yeah.
You didn't
Yeah.
have coffee, that hit for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
hated it at the end though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when
So
she-
everybody
did
in
it,
fucking
she-
Long
yeah.
Island is an
Yeah.
alcoholic,
Oh.
I guess.
You kidding? I can smell it from a mile away.
My favorite thing in the movie was I thought the office that they worked in.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was the weirdest looking,
Yeah.
with those 1800
Oh,
looking
yeah,
like
yeah.
elevators going. It was a wide open space, and all you seen were these things.
I wonder if that like building still exists.
It does.
that
It
way.
does. He says it's in
It's
L.A.
based on like some H.G. Wells novel.
It
so
looks
just
like
like
it.
weird like past sci-fi type
Yeah,
building.
it really-
it's a
it
very
does.
beautiful building.
It looks
Yeah.
like it, and that's like the thing I remember, not the
Mm-hmm.
the gorgeous mansion that's somewhere. That just was like, wow, that's
Yeah.
like really fucking weird.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite stuff in this movie was his co-worker scenes.
Yeah.
His
They were-
coworkers are,
I think you
good.
said they're his inner circle, but yes,
Yeah.
his inner circle at
Yeah.
work was the best parts of this
Fraser's
movie.
brother was.
Yeah, exactly.
You're my
on-
god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're my
That
god.
guy,
Yeah.
Fraser Roy, or
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
his name's Roy in the movie, but like he reminds me of Sam Raimi's brother in Spider-Man movies. Like when he comes in, he's like, "How about Doctor Strange?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, it just reminded me a lot of that character.
No,
like,
yeah,
what
he
did
was,
he
he was a
even
great
do?
character for it.
He already had an assistant.
Yeah, he just worked underneath Jack.
He actually had his own authors, and he did that kind of work as well. But
So he might have been a junior editor.
Yeah.
Because there was
Jack
also
the
another
senior.
protege.
was Spader.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
Spader.
What?
I mean, I think that's a pretty normal thing.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure there's
It's
different
weird.
departments in
Yeah.
publishing.
I guess.
I mean, he was the chief editor.
Yeah, it's probably a handful of people that do that.
I kind of like Spader's, constant ass kissing through this entire movie, though.
Well,
He
it's
just
supposed to be
did
like
it to
implied
everybody.
that James Spader is like Jack Nicholson's best friend in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they
but-
say it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Spader just keeps stabbing him in the back without him knowing.
Yeah.
Sleeps with
I
his wife.
really like
tries to
his
steal
acting
job.
when he's pretty much just like mimicking Jack Nicholson.
Mm-hmm.
Because like he does the same whisper that he does, which is like a weird choice for this movie
Yeah.
because it really fucking puts you to sleep. And I think that is also what contributes to half the dialogue being so slow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
Then there was that one scene after the Mayflower when he's told that his wife has been killed in the park, and then later on they cut
Just love when
to
he sits down.
James Spader and Christopher Plummer are just sitting together like on a couch watching television together.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell was that
Yeah,
all
I
about?
know.
Like, how they couldn't have done that in an office, like scene to make it more like.
I don't even
why
know
are we
what's
together?
supposed to be implied there. Like
I don't know what the heck is supposed to be implied there.
Yeah.
because that's after Jack Nicholson's character like fucks over Spader's whole career.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Is he
And-
there
and, like,
begging
he's,
for his
like,
job? At
you
least they
know-
could have made it look more like why
Well,
are they
like, he
together?
has
Aren't
that
they
company
talking
by the
about
balls.
how Will's wife died?
But it's not
Yeah,
even
they
like
were.
public knowledge until that scene.
Yeah.
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 You know.
I'm just saying that's why they're there.
Well, yeah,
But
like,
Yeah.
why
I know,
are
I
they
know.
sitting
it's
in
not
his house
even
on a
why they're
couch?
there. It's
Yeah,
why
why
they're
he
there
was
to
there
push the
before.
story.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
it's
meaningless.
It was just weird the way they got together. It was kind of meaningless,
Mm-hmm.
but just the thrown together scene.
Did we talk about Jack Nicholson's walk?
We did.
Not that you mean that weird
His
run
walk,
gait
the
thing?
run.
Oh,
Yeah.
that weird
Yeah.
run.
It's
When
just
he-
so unnatural, and honestly, that might be the point because he never does it again in the movie.
Because he smells James Spader on his wife's dress,
Mm-hmm.
and then runs over to the apartment in that weird wolf gait
He
with
doesn't-
his hands
it's-
behind him, and
yeah,
his-
he doesn't.
and he's just
move
following his
arms.
nose.
He's kind of leaning forward
Yeah.
and just.
he's just following his nose crossed down.
Yeah.
And I'm a little afraid of
I
whose scent
feel-
he actually picked up on.
You know where I've seen that run before?
Where?
Get Out. Remember when he's
Yeah,
outside and
that
he's
is-
looking into the dark and all of a
That's
sudden the
pretty
guy's
good.
running at him like that?
Yeah.
That's where I've seen it. It was just such a weird fucking run.
It was a little bizarre.
Also, when James Spader's like talking to the cops and like he has his
like he's on freaking
hands
meth
down like a doll.
Oh, with
or
the
something.
eyes and,
Yeah.
It was just
Yeah, I don't know why his eyes like
We're humongous.
Yeah.
it's just like different contacts. It had to be because his were just so much brighter.
And then he's just right up on that cop talking in his ear. Like,
Yeah.
what the hell kind of detective is going to let this guy come around the desk and
cops do
talk
not
in his ear?
Yeah.
Fucking care at all.
Yeah, no. Maybe it was the vodka tonics.
Maybe.
Maybe actually, I doubt that there's that much continuity in the movie though.
I don't think so.
Remember when they killed James Spader by shooting him fucking 50 times with a pistol?
That only held 6 bullets.
It's
'Cause
just
it was a
What
revolver?
an insane way to like end that, you know?
And then Jack
unloading.
Nicholson's character didn't even notice until the last
Mm-hmm.
shot.
Yeah.
Even like him jumping with the shears, he should have heard
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
with how they
Well,
set the power up.
I'm thinking in my head, I went into this movie thinking that they're werewolves, but they're actually not.
No.
They're actually just wolves.
Yeah, they're turning into
Period.
wolves. Yep.
Yeah.
Wolves and the
Mhm.
animal spirit
Yeah.
whatever.
Well, the
good or
name of the
evil
movie is Wolf, so
is what's possessing them
Yeah.
because werewolves, you can't kill a werewolf with regular bullets.
No.
You can't kill a werewolf by hitting them with your car. You know, so I don't know.
My people have one explanation. We are turning into a wolf.
A wolf, yeah, a wolf.
I don't have any honey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
scene,
what did
Doctor.
that do? Was that just to extend the scene? Like the movie needed it?
I don't know.
Like, is honey supposed to suggest that, like, fertility, maybe?
I don't know.
And then he asks him to come back and bite him.
Yeah.
What?
He should have bit the
When
old
you feel
man.
more comfortable, just come back and take
What the fuck? Strange.
Which I thought
And
was
I've been
weird,
told
too.
that I'm dying. The guy was 110 years old. You were going to die
Was he
anyway.
actually?
Yeah, right.
I don't know if he was, but he
They
was.
just kept implying he was
You know, the
lying.
original bite when he shows it is the only place on his body that has hair growing
Yeah.
out of it, and he actually trims it.
Yeah,
which
that was
is like-
weird. But that doctor wrote that book in 1948.
Yeah.
So it was 94.
Could have
So
been like 20.
yeah, he could have been. So makes him, what, 84? Something like that? 74?
I also like how the scene where Will like calls Laura and then he can hear her through the phone or hear the hairdryer.
Yeah.
Even though that's not fucking how phones work at all.
No.
Like a lot of
Yeah.
shit like that where they just like,
That's his little adapting, getting the powers of a wolf was kind of cool.
yeah.
Yeah. I enjoyed.
But the
Like
fact
I
that
said,
also
I-
he heard the phone through all that stuff, but then didn't hear her having the conversation on the
Yeah.
phone. Then she came out and bold-faced lied and said, he wants to see me tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even when he walked out into that office and he was kind of trying to focus in on everyone's
Yeah.
conversations, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know?
It's kind of like
Nice ear movement.
even in like
Yeah, the
Amazing
ears
Spider-Man, that's like the only part I like of that
Right.
movie is like him getting the powers.
Getting
and
the
everything.
powers, right.
Yeah. Also, just like how he went around as a wolf, like it doesn't make sense because like wolves don't ambush. Like they just they chase until their
Yeah.
prey can't move anymore. You know, they don't fucking attack like that.
Yeah. Yeah. They
See,
catch it
you
or they
learned,
don't.
Yeah.
you
I-
learned something about wolves here.
Yeah, it's just like action shit like that. It just doesn't make sense for the movie at all.
Yeah.
I think they should have actually kept the scene where he actually took the bear down in the zoo and ate the bear, and
Is
then
that-
got
is that a
found
deleted
later.
Scene?
Hmm?
Is that a deleted
No.
scene?
No, but that's he was outside of the bear enclosure at the zoo
Yeah,
when
with Ross. from
when Ross
Friends.
showed
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. And I like the fact that animals can sense something wrong in him.
Mhm.
You don't have that
Yeah.
fear of like if they smell a wolf. And,
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
like
he's
the
a top
horses.
predator.
Canine DNA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the
Yeah,
know,
there's
uh,
canine
flesh
DNA.
sample.
Yeah, that little stuff like that I liked, but they
Yeah.
did nothing with it, and it's
I wonder how many monkeys have interactions with wolves, though. I'm just wondering in
It's a
the
good point,
wild.
actually.
I would
but
just,
they do have wild
you know,
dogs.
I guess they
Yeah.
do, so they know that.
You know.
Yeah, I guess there's that canine thing.
even just predatory animal
Mm-hmm.
instinct.
Speaking of details, though, this is just like kind of a spiel I want to go on, but I told you there's like books in the conference room.
Yes.
It's like from a fantasy series, Wheel of Time, and in that like series, there's a character that gets wolf powers, and I don't know if it's on purpose or if it's just they like got this office of a random like publishing studio.
Wow.
But I don't know, just a detail I wanted to point out because I love that series. That's really all I have, other than just like the ending not making any sense at all.
Yeah, I don't know what they were going
It's
for.
just completely unsatisfying and confusing.
It's just a good 15 to like 30-minute run of like I don't even know what's happening anymore,
Yeah.
and there's a werewolf driving a car.
Yeah.
It's just bizarre
Yeah.
past a certain extent. When he fucking crashes through the gate with the car, it's just like I can't help but laugh
Yeah.
because he's full-on werewolf at that point, basically, and he's just fucking driving.
Yeah, it's just
Because
like the
she is
sudden
the-
changes.
She's the fuck of the century.
Yeah, like, what the hell?
Yeah, that seemed to
his
stay on
lines.
his mind, right?
And it's like his
Back up.
his wolf power, I guess, or like what even like is the point of the wolf? Like he just wants to rape people. That's
Yeah.
all it is.
Literally, it's so weird.
I guess that's his
That's
inner
the
you
alpha
know?
male
Yeah.
wolf.
I guess they kind of like alluded to that, like if you're evil prior to
Yeah,
the
sure.
wolf stuff,
Yep.
like you'll be bad, and like
Sure.
he was kind of a fucking piece of shit.
But like
Yeah.
he didn't even try to kill Jack Nicholson's wolf.
But he did. He
No, I'm just saying he fucking prioritized raping Michelle Pfeiffer instead.
Yeah.
You know.
And probably doing the same thing to, what was her name, Mary, his wife in the movie. And,
Yeah.
you know, it's sort of implied that that's who killed her
Well, yeah.
in the park.
I mean, it
you know?
is.
Yeah.
I'd say like towards the end of the movie, it's more than implied.
We spoke of the director of this movie.
The Graduate.
I
easily
think
the
this
best
was
thing
totally
ever.
the wrong genre for him.
Yeah, I just think he's one of those guys who's
This
on
was
a
not
contract.
his best.
Yeah, I kind of don't like directors like that.
Hmm.
Where it's just like,
He's
yeah,
a contract director.
just fucking do every single thing that I
Yeah.
can and not know when to not do something.
They gave him some big talent too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Favorite scene?
My favorite scene was how that office looked. I
Yeah.
was so cool with the
Yeah.
elevator. There was nothing in the movie that really got me.
Yeah.
For me, it's either between Jack Nicholson saying he's gonna keep the cigar and then throwing it away 5 seconds
Yeah,
later,
yeah, exactly.
or him just pissing on James Spader.
Yeah, it's this James Spader scene for me.
I
and
like
the
when he
thing.
fucking jumps up the stairs.
That's pretty good too.
I'll get dressed.
Yeah, I'll get dressed. But yeah, no, I have to go with the James Spader scene, especially when James is like, "These are suede."
Yeah.
He just asparagus. I love
Funniest thing in the movie.
Yeah.
Intentionally funny. My least favorite scene is the whole scene where Jack goes to Laura's house.
Mm-hmm.
It's just boring.
Mm-hmm. It
yeah,
was
I'm-
boring.
It's just like peanut butter and jelly's like mother's milk to me.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Let's go drink our milk somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. My least favorite scenes were every scene where he should have turned into a real wolf and just haired up a little bit.
I had high hopes for when he was going to get mugged.
Yeah, exactly. And we didn't see anything. All you saw was a flash of
You
that.
seen a shadow on the wall, and that was it.
Might as well be two people dancing.
Exactly. That was it. But then he finds the fingers later in his pocket. It was just
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
The wrong color fingers.
Mhm.
Because the black guy ran away.
Yeah, that was the other thing. I thought it was
Yeah.
the Hispanic guy with
And
the
the
gun
blood
he attacked.
that
Yeah.
didn't fucking turn black either.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, it was still red.
It, like, oh my god, it just looked so fake.
Mhm.
Even as red blood, it just looked horrible.
Right.
Favorite? I guess I'll have to go with the James Spader scene.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I also liked the car scene where he was just basically cracked up and smashes through the gate.
That is, yeah.
Because then the way you explained it to me, I found it kind of funny.
It's just insane.
Least favorite scene?
Well, the fact that the guy was in the thing, in the front of the car for about 10
went
seconds
under
and then
the
under the
tire.
wheel.
Yeah. Least favorite scene's got to be that running scene. I was just, what the fuck is that? run?
Well, even when he was chasing down the deer, that was just kind of bizarre, that
yeah,
kind of running stuff. But American Werewolf in London just did something with that whole thing. It's just how it wove comedy into that whole wolf thing.
Right.
And made it, I guess, sort of plausible.
I mean, the
for what it
transformation
is.
in that is also
Oh.
fucking amazing.
Yeah.
It was for
Isn't
the
it
for the time
considered,
period.
like,
It definitely
one
was.
of
It
the
was
best
awesome.
ever?
Yeah, and then a great soundtrack to boot.
This movie is just weird. I'll give it a 3 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm in that same realm of 3.5 out of 10. Only because I think that it was just a failed production. I think they had great ideas, but it just couldn't pan out, and the story just took a nosedive and turned into a shitter.
It is funny how, like, I would say it just gets better as it goes on.
I mean, definitely.
Yeah, just weird.
Once you're locked into it, it's hard to.
It's hard to not fall asleep.
Yeah, I'd give it.
Oh, there was definitely times last night at a 1.4 speed that my eyes were starting to roll into the back of my head. I'll be honest
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah.
But maybe it was after a couple of drinks, too. I don't know.
I'm giving it a 2.5.
Wow.
Terrible movie.
So we'll let you go next.
No,
Yeah.
like I said, if we're going to use Madam Web,
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. What are you going
as
to do
a
on the Madam Web
baseline,
scale?
I think it's still maybe 1 point better than Madam Web. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be up there at about 3.
Yeah. If anything, this movie really makes me wish that, like, at some point in the 70s, they would have made an X-Men movie and had Jack Nicholson be Wolverine.
He did kind of resemble a Wolverine.
He
in it,
probably
there's
could have
no
done
doubt.
it, too.
Mm-hmm. Especially with that run.
Yeah. All right, so next week we will be talking about The Penguin with Colin Farrell, a spinoff from the Batman series out of Matt Reeves' DC Batman universe.
And we will also be watching Agatha All Along in the MCU.
All right, so we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Agatha Harkness. You've been under the influence of another. The only way to end a curse is to face it.
Trust me. It's just the beginning.